Okay, hello. Welcome to this special presentation we're having today. My name's Alan Friesen. With me is Scott Sweetman, who you see on H3 every week. And with us tonight is Elder Roger Prairie Chicken, who is running for chief of the Blackfoot people. And we want to hear from Roger and understand what his vision, his goals are for the Blackfoot Nation and how he's going to make a difference. So Roger, welcome. We're super excited to have you here and want to learn more about your campaign and of course the difference you want to make with the Blackfoot people. So.
Sounds good.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. So
Tell us.
Well, where do you begin? I guess from the start. Well, first of all, within our Blackfoot culture, we have what we call oral histories. And the oral history is passed down from generation to generations. And I am for my family, I am the keeper of the tree knowledge. And basically, that's the tree knowledge is basically all the oral history from the beginning of time, the time events, even the cosmologists, I do that also. But overall, I am an elder, I'm a teacher, I'm a historian for the Blood Reserve. I have worked many hats. I've been an entrepreneur, a police officer, a chair of the police commission. You name it, I've done it. And then I've always believed in the family concept, trying to get the family to unite and move forward. But at the same time, what I have found out is that what I see is like a bucket of crabs syndrome. Mm-hmm. When somebody succeeds, like in families, as soon as you start seeking jealousy, resentment, whatever the human nature of thought, they bring you down. So, and then at the same time, I have come to many crossroads in that area. So again, as an elder and trying to save the knowledge, I go around and sit with the elders. And mind you, we have lost a lot of elders in the last 10 years. But in these elders that I spoke with, some of them are with the elders' declaration of the reserve, and then and we have a declaration of elders document, and then they are basically the elders are the ones that will listen, and then they'll give the blessing and the decisions made, and the rest will vote for the people. But today it's not like that again. So the elders spoke of these words, and then the words are basically breach of fiduciary responsibility. Mm-hmm. In Blackfoot, we would say, that's a breach of fiduciary responsibility. That's a translation of it. Mm-hmm. So at the same time, constructive fraud is basically, actually, that's what that means, constructive fraud. And at the same time, theft of misappropriation of funding is basically gamotsin. Actually, these are the old Blackfoot dialect. I'm a fluent speaker of both words. So that is what the elders said. So combined together, it sounds to me it's like with these words, it's a legal process within the legal concept. As a police officer, I'm aware of how things could proceed on. So,
Roger, sorry to interrupt. I have a question for you. I watched your talk yesterday and some of the other candidates, and there was a nice lady that got up, and she talked about a huge number of candidates, both for chief and for delegates.
Yeah.
And the numbers were very surprising. Is there something unusual about this election?
Well, to be right now, I would say 95% of the people are unemployed. And at the same time, a lot of the people, there's a Everett Soup cartoon I remember a while back. This would answer, there was a chief standing there all tired, and they had this dragging his regalia, and then we had another Indian Butt Tribe member standing on the side, telling the chief, I think, I've understood it, if we could all be chief for 1 year, I think we could all be rich. So at that note, that kind of concept to me is basically everybody's at 56 people. Well, I could be wrong, but there's over 50 people running for council
Wow.
and 10 for chief.
That's a lot.
And at the same time, you know, the way I would look at, you know, it's based on the, I guess the government dangling, you know, money in front of us, but at the same time, you know, they're dictating to us on how to use our clearance. So I'll get back to what I'm saying here now.
Thank you.
All right, then, so basically, I was the one, Sheldon and I were the ones that brought chief of council to court on a common plow. And then, so at the same time, if you go into the common plow, first of all, you know, it was, how I got there was, I was terminated under, you know, a constructive dismissal. I uncovered major corruptions of money that were missing. And at the same time, so by finding these thing out, you know, I got let go, and then so we got our lawyers involved, and I got paid out, and I left. So and at the same time, within that, that's when I found out the corporation structures. There's no accountability when it comes to that law. In that particular, you know, department that I was working with, there was no financial reports to the people. The GM meetings were always controlled. I was involved in one. They just cut and draw, and they just got out of there. And then the big questions came in. They didn't even answer them. They were very rude to the people who were asking questions, so they just cut and dry. So that was a total violation of their rights. So getting back to the process of what I started investigating, when I got terminated, I talked to Roy. That was when the opioid crisis started. I have the death stats right from the beginning, from I would say 2010 up to present day. I still carry the death stats of how many people die of the, you know, on their band book. And I could say we're averaging an average of 10 to 12 people, you know, 10 to 12 people, you know, a month to die. We've lost close to maybe 2-3 generations right now. And then the horror stories just continue, and it connects to the move of corporations. So, and at the same time, so before I get there, I came across this document in 1982. It was called the Customs Bylaw Elections Act. And then in 1982, what happened was the Chief of Council made a decision on that Customs Bylaw Elections Act. And then there is a clause that's in there. It's called the Section 10.6 states that the blood tribe shall have the power to require the productions of any evidence, including the productions of any documents in attendance, any witnesses. This gives them sole power to make the decisions for you know, they violated our rights. They can make the decisions for us with no more votes when this was implemented. So even up today, when I got nominated for chief, I was expecting to see the Customs Bylaw election book. Remember that book they have? It was amended in 2020. And it also states that in that 2020 elections bylaw, that not even the government could intervene. The CEO of the elections has sole power to do anything he wants. And then they have these machines they brought in. We didn't even vote for these machines. That's one feather. And then there's stories of Pegasus Reserve. They lost a ballot box. It's on CBC News. You could Google that. So when we went in to get nominated for chief, I was given this one, Kainawa Blood Tribe Elections Bylaw and Regulations, 1995. My question is why did they give me this when they were using the Customs Bylaw Elections Act of 1982? So at the same time,
So the incumbent government
yes,
is playing from two playbooks.
you got it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and then yesterday we had the forum, when I was talking about it, as I looked down, this kind of shined up like a rock, on a riverbed,
Yeah.
shiny rock. It's kind of, I said, whoa. So I did speak, I spoke about it yesterday. So getting back to this Customs Elections Bylaw Act, they basically took our rights away. We couldn't make any decisions. So we were federal reserve, federal treasury reserve. So then I would say, then the corporation started. And the corporation started in around about in 2008 when Eugene Creighton, the ban lawyer, or now he's with the Supreme Court. But this individual, it's everything is accounted for under corralling corralling justice. It's right here, right here. So, but at the same time, so he was basically. Creighton spent 8 years, 1986 to 1994, as in-house counsel to the Blood Tribe. He focused on creating systems in which the people of the nations provide service to each other and can run successful businesses. Creighton embraced the whole idea of the First Nations in Canada is to be allowed to take over their educational programs. So, and then at the same time, he says, I designed a Blood Tribe education system. He says, I created a legal entity, created a school board, and applied to the minister to transfer jurisdictions to the school boards. So that began the corporation structures of 38 corporations on the reserve. 38. And then, these 38 have evolved now into a bigger amalgamation with American Holdings. It's just gone just crazy. We have predatory lenders coming in and taking the resources from the people. At the same time, then we have our lawyers. This is what I don't understand. As an elected official, you should be able to answer simple questions, but I don't see why these people say, talk to my lawyer. Doesn't make any sense. And at the same time, the chief and counsels are Bill C's. There are 30 Section 35 Indian Act bans. Chief and counsel, they get paid. Their paychecks come in from the federal government. They're basically Indian agents. So on this book, when it comes through, we could promise the world on this side, we're going to do this thing. But what happens is there's a halter on the other side that they put it, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. But for me, as chief candidate, I'm not swearing my due diligence to Canada. I'm swearing my due diligence to the people.
Sure.
My people.
Yeah.
And chances are, if elected and I get on, I may not get paid, but it doesn't matter. That is sort of process.
Why wouldn't you get paid? The previous chief and counsel were paid.
That's what they dangle, that
Oh.
you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah.
You're Indian and we'll give you. You could do what you want and make money on the reserve on the corporation structure.
Right.
So
yeah.
Federal government does that a lot.
yes, exactly. So, but anyways, with these 38 corporations
Why
that have started,
38? What's
well, these are just developments. Again, from information that I had, Welch Wilkins, when they first started, it wasn't Welch Wilkins, it was somebody Wilkins. And then something happened, and then I think it might have really got, I don't know, but something happened with that. They separated. Something legal thing happened back then, but they wouldn't tell us. But that's the information that I got from one of the old counselors, and that's what he said. There's something happened. They split up. So after that, Welch Wilkins came in. So now, Welch Wilkins is basically taking over. Like for instance, I'll give an example. One of the reserve members, remember, he came up to me and said, Roger, Lands Department owes me money. They took my money without consent. And I brought it to the news, I brought it to court. But now they gave me a check. I went to go cash my check. And then that check, basically, I couldn't cash it. And then the banker told me, what are you doing with this check? Right, huh? What are you doing with this check? Here it was a check from our trust fund.
Oh.
And it was it was the lawyers that authorized that through the Lands Department.
Wow. Hey, can I back up a minute? The cows and plow thing, if I was following along correct yesterday, basically the last payment that came from that program, that's a treaty obligation. But the last one, basically the documentation included a thing to say, yeah, we're done now. This payment means we don't owe anything anymore, kind of thing.
Exactly.
From the Canadian government,
From the Canadian government, right?
just deciding,
Just deciding we're gonna pay this and then you're gonna sign off and you've lost this right.
Okay, and then for the common plow, in 1986, the initial, when they brought the common plow forward, the documents that I came across was, it was $1.33 billion plus, the maximum settlement. So at the same time, the minimum amount was $233 million plus. So in 1996, our tribal government and the lawyers, and at the same time, that was when the federal government was trying to release our treaty rights, and then they went with Alberta. So Alberta has a cap settled with First Nations of $150 million. So, but the treaties are not with the province, they're babies, it's just new. Our treaty is King George. And the reason why I'm so advocate at what I do is my grandfather is Olson, Chief Olson, the one that made the Peace Pipe Treaty along with Chief Red Crow from the Bloods. They never held a pen. It was a peace pipe treaty. And at the same time, that we had people that were I guess we would say and then they were the mediators, and these mediators were priests, French, half-breeds, black people, and all that. They know a few English words, but when they get in there, how do you put two people, different languages, and people don't even know at 1/10 of the language, and then as long as these guys get paid, they make the laws into it was inappropriate decision making, for the government. And but today we still, the honor of the pipe is simply how straight the pipe stem is how straight we talk. And then at the same time, and we have one thing that I always talk about, they would say, it simply means being honest to life and to all life.
exceptional.
Yeah. So getting back to the common plow, I'll have my wife explain that a little further. After I finish appropriations.
Sure.
So then when we went to court on the common plow, basically if you Google Lethbridge Herald, you'll see all our stories on there. And then at the same time, look where we're at now. I'm a candidate for chief. So, but at the same point is this, I believe that then and I believe that now, accountability and transparency is basically the rule of thumb to get everything going, to get back to where we're at. At the same time, so we went to court, we were waiting, and my wife told me, well, what about acres claim? This over here, there's acres claim, this across Coulter's. And then, okay, I phoned Lethbridge Irrigation. I told him, excuse me, sir, could I get who owns the owners of the documentations of that acres claim? And the guy says, Roger, I want to tell you something. We don't. You go to the registrar office, and that was where I got 38 corporations. Pass me those documents here. So with all these corporations that we got, we all paid $20 a copy for 38 of them. And it showed who like for instance here on Oak Ridge Road. Oak Ridge Road is basically, I would say, Robertson, the ones that John Jury said are part of the taking over the VTAP, along with Roy Fox. That amalgamation they have done. So she was involved with the acres claim along with previous council Dorothy Firstrider, we had $59 million in acres one and acres two under the consolidated report of 2022. So after today, from those consolidated, we only have about 900,000. And those are trust monies.
Wow.
Those are trust monies. And then the proof that I have.
So these 38 corporations are not working for the people.
No, they're not. They're private. They're wholly owned business enterprises. And as I spoke about these things, and like we're talking about the areas.
We're getting close to fraud here, right?
It is fraud. This is why the elders say, like the elders say, it's basically these things. It's called breach of fiduciary duty, constructive fraud, theft of misappropriated funding.
So we've gone past the moral obligations.
The moral
here, people,
obligations are gone.
and we've gone right
Yeah.
to fraud.
And just like I said, there's 38 corporations that are family run, correct?
Yeah.
Wow. But from education, from our health, even our chiefs, Charlie Wishead, Trish Shade.
How do young people in the tribe learn about this?
Well, basically,
They're going to be voting, right? So this
yeah, we're going to be
information.
voting, but like I said, everybody. I'll give you an example. When we sued the tribe, we run the court. I was in Lethbridge, and a young person approached me, and this is how the misappropriation of thinking, and maybe he could have been a drug dealer, I don't know. But he said, you're the one that's causing the people to die that's not getting their distribution money.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him, I told him, excuse me, do you hear yourself? He says, no. I said, and then he was kind of very belligerent, very hostile. I just walked right into him and I looked at him, I told him, what's your name? And the guy just kind of jumps back and he says, all you need to know is a blood tribe member. So that is the understanding, they don't really understand and see things like with that. All the tribe got on a pound and pound, $3,000. Guess how much they sold that treaty right? And then again, we'll have Charlene talk about that when we get there. So within the corporation structure, there's 38 of them. And then this Oak Ridge Road is basically, for me, it's a slush fund where that money went to from the acreage.
Those trust funds that went missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Robertson's involved. So at the same time, we could go.
And that money does not go to help people.
It doesn't go to us. It doesn't go to us. It's totally owned, business owned enterprise.
It enriches shareholders
Yeah.
instead of protecting the
Yeah.
people. and
Because
providing-
across Canada, not everywhere in Canada, reserve, off reserve, we're going through really tough times.
Yeah.
I mean, no one can argue.
Mhm.
And, we're going through that at the federal level now, is that the money's not coming through to the people.
Mhm.
And what you're telling us here is that's one of the things that you're most concerned about, is the money's not going to the people who need it more than
Well,
ever.
Okay, now you go into the housing, blood tribe housing. And then Charlotte, could you look for blood tribe housing, honestly? And
Sorry, it's almost unbelievable. Right?
Yeah.
So I had the questions.
Like with blood tribe housing, years ago, Charlotte and I ran a business from 1985 to 2003. I was the first bulk fuel, independent bulk fuel, 100% Indian owned. And then we ran a gas station, and then we ran a tire shop. And the blood tribe, we would say Blackfoot, means the blood tribe land belongs to the blood tribe members equally.
Mm.
If there is a facility that's been abandoned, you could just move in and use it. And as long as you pay, what needs to be paid, then, you use it. I was a police officer, and then I knew the law, so I told my dad, let's take a chance of a lifetime. We'll never get ahead with these guys in chief and council unless we gotta do things on our own. So basically, from that point, my dad sold the cows, and we were here for 23 years. Then we created employment for the people, but resentment, jealousy, and in the end, when my mother died, we just walked out of the gas station. Yeah. And then I had 33,500 liters outside in my tank. I was going to resell it. By the time I got that that gas was gone. Yeah, but so again, let's just say, like, we have lost tremendous amount of monies on Kainai housing corporations, and at the same time, and then there's St. Mary's Construction, and then I can't remember the other one. St. Mary's Construction and two corporation structures. And what they do is basically, I'll give you the corporations here. This was on the November 6th, 2023, when we researched this thing, and it was passed by Welch Wilkins, and at the same time, Welch, Alberta, and then by Melanie Wells, and then the directors of the kind of housing corporation is Floyd Bighead. His term just ran out now, and then at the same time, Winston Daichi, and then Mickey Dayrider, and then Marcel Weaselhead. And at the same time, during this time, they made the reserve, like Mashard and I paid our home, and we needed to get some services done on it. We went down to housing, they told us you have to remortgage your house. I told him, why? He says, we lost the records. I told him, no, we have here.
There's our records, we paid it, yeah.
We paid it, we paid it through our lands. And where's all the receipts of our payments? We can't find them. That's how bad it is. So at the same time, then you go into the, these areas, the officers then become Floyd Bighead. Big Head is the secretary treasurer.
Roger's reading this off
Yeah.
a document.
Yeah.
These aren't his notes. He's just sharing with us.
This is from the corporation nonprofit search that I paid $20 for, and I got the receipts for that. So, but at the same time, so if by them making these houses, rental units and making their own, business out of it, it's not coming to the people. And the material that they buy is the most cheapest material they could find. And at the same time, now we had this one walk, Charlene and I, we helped the mothers tired of losing their parents to drugs. We're on Edward Road, and we walked with the mothers that lost. And there was one particular mother, they were living in houses, and one of their sons overdosed, and they went to the hospital. When they got back, the house was already boarded up.
Wow.
So, and at the same time, and another family, the same thing. So when I got let go of not signing a $48,500 black purchase order from the department I had, I told the new director, I told me, as a director, you have $10,000, no question asked. But $48,000, you have to pass it to the board.
Mm-hmm.
But the board they're all related.
Yeah.
So,
and you were really being pressured to sign, authorize.
Yeah, but I didn't authorize it,
No.
and they got me from constructive dismissal.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
And then,
you had no authority to authorize that anyways, without the board approval.
exactly, yeah.
So like you say, the system runs on, here's a carrot
Yeah.
and here's a stick.
You got it.
That's your choice. And that's the basis of what you want to change. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie, get me acres clean.
Sorry for our viewers, Mr. Prairie Chicken is speaking to his wife who's just off camera, and she'll be joining us.
So, after I finish this corporation there.
If I was talking to someone off camera, they'd just think I was crazy.
I've been with my wife for 44 years. And then basically, I guess you could say I was the last arranged marriage.
The last arranged marriage?
Yeah, if I didn't listen to my mother, not to stay with my wife, I was always still, maybe I wouldn't even be here. The mothers are the bosses. I love my wife, for so years. She went to Palm Springs, and I thought, I'm going to do this with it. I just stayed home in my room, my bedroom with a remote control.
Roger can't find it.
My grandfather lived to be 96, died of an accident, and he had a little sign that said, "I'm the boss of this house, and I have my wife's permission to stay." And he lived by that, and they were happily married forever.
So I'll conclude with the, what's happening with the, so I ended up getting, Jason Avery hired me. Jason Avery was also let go, I guess, constructive dismissal also. But the information that we had, I remember there was a hospital. There was a hospital, the monies that came in. And then there was a gentleman there, his name was Kevin Cohen. He was a very good man, had a vision, and then we were able to work with monies with the problems to get a hospital going in Cardston. Then all of a sudden the board, well, I got let go. No, I didn't get, I was in the process of being let go of not signing that thing. So then he got let go. He was literally walked out. You know, he gets there about 5, 6 in the morning. He got walked out by one of the previous counselors. So at that point, he left. So I was without a job for a while. Next thing I got a phone call and said, "Roger, you want to work at the IRC?" I told him, "Sure." Yeah, a friend of mine, I've done counseling all my life, so so that's where I'm at right now. So at the same time, I started studying. I kept my stats going, and I started seeing there was more Blood Tribe people coming in to Lethbridge, to the IRC for food, counseling, trying to get a place to stay.
For those who don't know, what's the IRC?
Indigenous Recovery Coaching Program.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and then the lady comes in that got kicked out. The one that we all put money to get her a motorized scooter.
Miranda
Yeah.
Spiritual.
Yeah, Miranda. Her whole family followed her into town. They never had a house. They slept outside. At the same time, they were the ones that, when the drugs are going. Well, speaking to housing and then the wellness programs, I tell housing, there should be a strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. Hell, there should be a strike 8. You guys within our department should be working hand in hand to get these people helped somehow. But with our own, the repressed are now the repressors. That's the way I see things.
Yeah.
Even if the family name is segregated, just like my name, I'm a minority was in the reserve. But at the same time, my bloodline comes from, Laramie Treaty. My grandfather was a part of it. White Cap and 1877 Treaty also. So that's my bloodline. Maybe that's why I advocate so hard. But getting back to these things, what's happening is not just one family, but many families have come in, have their houses boarded up, and they come into Lethbridge.
Okay, and the house is boarded up because somebody dies from a drug overdose? Is that?
Well, they're using, basically, they're trying to control the drugs, but literally they're just kicking them off the reserve.
Yeah, so many surveys have shown that being home, like losing your home or not having a home, is one of the, if not the most contributor on the path to drug abuse.
Yeah, you got it.
And that's undisputable. I mean, there's so many surveys worldwide that if you don't provide the basic shelter for people, they're going to end up addicted or commit suicide or those things.
So then, so that's what's happening is that's why there's an influx of people coming from, not just, there's many from the reserve, but now they're coming from pagans. But then I did my counts here in Lethbridge again, just by finding out Red Deer, Medicine Hat. I had a friend in both areas that contacted me. They literally sent people to Lethbridge because Lethbridge has the most money for addictions. Yeah. And they're literally given a $500 check, one way to get to Lethbridge. But at the same time, what I'm seeing is that talking with the IRS, being a frontline worker, they're following the doctors on their suboxones, on the treatments that they're going. You know, they'll buy a product, and then now it's horse tranquilizer. But at the same time, when they have no more money, then they go back to the doctor for suboxone. Everybody's making a profit on that. But at the same time, so this is what's happening is this a housing corporation is a provincially corporation on a federal reserve. We did not vote to have these corporations, various corporations, to get them on the reserve, but people have no say. They use the Customs Bylaw Act in order to make their decisions. Just like Dorothy First Rider was told by a judge, Supreme Judge, have you told the people they are now provincially, there's no provincial jurisdiction. And then what she said was in that blurb, she just simply says, no, I don't have to. They're supreme. That's the attitude that they have, but they're not. I ran into some corporation problem here, and then I was also told by one of the new board of where I worked when they started. There was a question of $60,000 there, and then and it was going to the Blackfoot Health Department. I told them why. I was at AGM, and I told them why. Maybe I'll be terminated for what I'm saying, but it's the truth. But why? And then because IRC is federally funded, the Blackfoot Health Department is provincially funded. The trains don't meet.
Just sitting here, and it's upsetting. First of all,
yes.
Because we live in a community, and lots of people talk about the issues with homelessness and the instances with drug abuse, and let's be honest, the indigenous population, and what can we do, and all of these things. And we're sitting here, and there's two sides to every story. We all know that. But these documents, they are legal documents that you have printed out. They're not your opinion. It's a fact. What can be done?
Well, just for me, just like my campaign speech there, if elected, first of all, I'd like to revisit the Customs Bylaw Act and have the people vote on it. It's a right to vote.
Absolutely.
Everybody owns the reserve, and we all have rights. Just because you come from a certain family and then you look down on people and you think you're educated and you say this guy's nothing. Just like I said on my video on YouTube, if you guys want to make your $1 million on the corporations, get off the reserve and let us to be Indians and govern ourselves the way traditional is. It's simply about, again, be honest to life and to all life. Respect.
Yeah.
So
now, and not go make your $1 million, but not off the backs of the Blackfoot people.
The people. Yeah, that's what it said.
Yeah.
So at the same time, when Charlie and I were talking, I went to the. This is where it all began with the corporation. Was this document? This was on November the 5th, 2021. Well, after I talked with the Lethbridge Irrigation, they told me to go to the registration office. So I went over there, and this is the. If you guys could see it, this is the map of the what you call it, the acres claim, just out across Goldhurst. And then
And that's the place where they're supposed to be building a casino, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But they lost the right to build that casino because the last casino license went to Hobima. And why do we want to build a casino when they should be building houses? That's stupid, And then and wearing Gucci bags. That's crazy. So this is there's 680 acres on the acres claim that's coming down the. This is 509 highway.
Yeah.
And then at the Oman River, this is Highway 3 right here. So 509 goes this way, that way. So there's 680 acres, acres 1 and acres 2. With that elite decision of that Customs Bylaw Act, is the way I understand it, that gives them sole discretion to make decisions without the people's vote. They bought acres 2, and without notifying the people, they sold our water rights. and you know, it has to be revisited. So at the same time, then within the corporation structures and how it began, so the 680 acres, I was really surprised when I started going through here. I thought anything that's owned by First Nations has to be 100% First Nations. But within that irrigation is owner, we have the surface rights on it. It's not Indian land, it's still provincial.
Mhm.
But remember, this is my thought, that area is prime location to resolve the Lethbridge problem.
To resolve the Lethbridge.
Resolve the Lethbridge problem of drugs. We could make it a, you know, some kind of a national or some kind of a healing hub for addictions.
Mhm.
Brilliant.
You know, and you know, at the same time, you know, because just like a friend of mine, Dennis Brenner, he's, you know, I met him. He's an advocate also. He's just, I believe what he said, and I believe that today. He simply said, all these people need is just a bed, a one room,
Yeah.
bed, you know, with a television, a bed, and a name on it, a place to go home.
The studies done in Germany and Northern Europe where they did exactly that.
Yeah.
The city councils or we would call them provinces, but they differ from country to country. They created spaces, small spaces. You know, maybe I would think, well, that's about the size of my living room, but they own that space, and it turned around so many people just to have a place, like you said, to be proud of.
Yeah.
This is that I can go to this place. No one can stop me and tell me that, you know, what to do in my space. That's so wonderful.
Yeah. Anyway, so getting back to this, to what I'm doing, so on the titles, all the land descriptions, they had all the titles on there, and at the same time, it really was quite interesting. Like the owners, it says, just simply the owners are here. There's a corporate number, Alberta Limited, 2801, Calgary, Alberta. And then it has this 50% owners by irrigation order by Lethbridge Irrigation, again, County of Lethbridge.
Sorry, again, just for our viewers, Roger's going through copies of an official document from the province. I'm sure if he wanted a copy, although he paid $20 for them each, he could probably set you up with a copy if you want to see this.
Yeah.
The facts are right there.
Yeah. So anyways, but the thing, the owners of these things is, I want to get to, basically, who are they again? This irrigation. So the owners, the president, 20% is owned by a person by a, I've been trying to find this person to do the study to, who is he? Bob Bartlett. And that's my question to you guys. Who is Bob
I've heard of
Bartlett?
Well, when he was like ran the Hurricanes for a number of years.
Yeah, at the same time, and then there's so many, and then he's saying he was a hurricane coach or
Yeah.
something.
Part of
But at the same time, he must be pretty damn old.
Yeah.
But his name is on the search. Dorothy First Rider, Travis Platter, all his previous council members are all in there.
But shouldn't it be owned by the band?
It should be, but they own it. It's a what do they call it again? It's a wholly owned enterprise is how Eugene Prairie Chicken corporation structures I talked about, you know, the first 30 he made. So that's the outcome now. It has become owned by these people, not by the people. The repressed and other repressors. So at the same time, you know, getting back to this whole thing that I'm talking about now.
Hey, is lateral violence the same as like the whole crap bucket thing? Is that
That's what
the
I'm
same
talking
thing?
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the same time, the names are here. I think I just found them. So again, it's just the documentation's all here, but you know, right here. Okay, so basically, Dorothy First Rider is on the list. Traveler Platter Chair, Maria Russell, Pinocchio and Tail Feathers. And then Bob Bartlett is right, I believe, right here. Yeah, right there in the bottom page, Bob Bartlett.
Mhm.
So
It's very confusing.
To me, it's some kind of amalgamation of corporations happening.
It's a shell game.
I call it a predatory lending process. There's higher people involved, in that area, and I could even prove it within the further documentations that with John Jurius. John Jurius is an interesting person. John Jurius is partners with Robertson, and NARC, which is the partners with Doug Singer and Roy Funk. So Roy Funk, Doug Singer. And at the same time now, they run a hay plant. That's a hay plant that employment could be done for the people of the Blood Reserve. We have outsiders going to work on the reserve right now. And the product of they were saying $700 million of hay. I don't know, and that's the information that I got. That's a lot of money. But even that, you just see the piles of hay that's going. And it's become some kind of a center where people are coming in from off reserve to export their product. It's evolved to something else that we don't even know about. On business on a Federal Reserve, that's corporation structure.
But the fact is that the money generated from that isn't going to help the Blackfoot
It's not
people.
helping
It's going
us.
to individual shareholders who are part of these corporations.
And at the same time, you could dolly around with the white hat, the suit jacket, everything, and to say, the highest office in Calgary, and then you say, oh, I'm doing all that work. No, they're being puppets. Some other people with it's just shady, very shady.
And so when you stand up, like you did, you're dismissed. And you're not only do you lose your livelihood, your reputation is attacked.
Yep.
Like the young man who came up to you on the street, young person.
Yeah.
So, that was a direct result of that defamation, of you standing up, right, and saying that I'm not going to sign this blank. $48,000.
Exactly. 38 corporations is being run by 38 families. Wow. And we have education society. These people go to school just because they know how to go to get a corporate number. They get a corporate number, then they apply for the provincial, federal monies to come in. And that money that comes in, the documentations are all falsified and they're all pocketing maybe $38,000 each a year.
Wow.
That's how it's done.
Wow. There's also, I think it came up yesterday too, about where there's some of the current councillors or chief that are like buying votes, paying people to vote. Yeah. Wow.
They're each given $30,000 each to run their campaigns. And I had trouble getting $800 to get nominated.
Because that's what you had to pay to run, was $800.
And then that shortened the sign on some of our bills. So at that note, I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to introduce Charlene Margaret Plum, my wife for 44 years. And then I want you to talk about anything she wants, which is the boss.
Hi, my name is Charlene Plum. I'm going to be talking about how our voting is on our reserve on anything. When they were going with the cattle agreement, they left the plow out. It was a cattle agreement. So I don't know what happened to the plow. Anyways, the document that they were supposed to be giving us was about this thick on the cattle agreement. And then when we got the summary of the cattle agreement, it was this thin, and then there was just about 3 documents in there. And on the front of that, I wish I brought that document. On the front, it stated it wasn't a legal document, and they were telling us all to look at it. And then when the people were asking questions about the people that were distributing the document, they didn't know any questions that were being told them, the answers. So it was really frustrating.
So no accountability. So they took the legal documents, summarized it into 3 sheets, stamped on it, this is not a binding agreement,
Yes.
and then gave it.
Okay. So
It's
And-
not funny, I'm sorry. but-
Yeah, no, it ain't funny. So this is where our tribe has to really do their investigations and understand things. Anyways, that full document, the lawyers, the chief and council were supposed to get everybody together on the tribe and go page by page and go over the whole agreement, and they did not do that. So they just gave us a little summary, and the big document was this big, and it could have took us years, to all look through the whole document and decide. So, when we went to vote, they had the cattle agreement, the trust agreement, and the distribution of $3,000.
Mm.
So they all put that under one ballot. So a lot of people did not want to vote on the trust agreement and didn't want to vote on the cattle agreement, but wanted to say yes to the distribution. But they didn't give us that because they were violating our rights. So which in town, federal, or provincial elections, even in town, when you guys are voting, you guys are given ballots for everything you guys are gonna be voting on. In which they don't give us that right.
Mhm.
So they combine everything, and it's always that dangling that money up, for us to say yes to everything, vote yes for everything. Cause how hard it is on our reserve for employment and that, and a lot of people need that
In
money.
these times, who's gonna say no to $3,000?
Yes,
Even if you know it's the wrong thing, if your kids I have kids, you're gonna take them. You're not gonna let your kids starve.
yeah, so, and then we voted on the 148, again, a simple little thing like this. So nobody knows the full agreement of the 148. And again, trust agreement, vote on the 148 in the distribution. So our people really need to wake up. That's how much power we have on our voting. Everybody could have voted no and asked for the full document to see it and to go over it. That's how much power our people have. But they need to understand how much power they have on voting.
Part of that sounds like that there's been created this culture of dependence and culture of, you don't really have a choice. We're
Yeah.
doing this for you, take the $3,000, And it's hard for people to really move past that, I think.
Yeah. So anything that we are agreeing on, like the cattle agreement, the 148, once we all agree on it, we cannot go back and our future generations, they cannot go back and claim on that because this generation this chief and council and everybody has already agreed to it. And we're not thinking about our future generations.
So how can you move past this for the betterment of your people?
How we're gonna be able to move forward is everything has to be on the table for the whole tribe to agree and to all be a part of the decision.
Somebody's gonna have to be brave enough to unshuffle that pile
Yes,
and say we have to accept the truth
yes.
and accept, look for the best way out of this.
Well, this is how it is, how I always say, our elders aren't being told anything. It's skjalpia. That means they're sitting in the dark. They don't know what's going on our reserve, and a lot of people don't know. And all this information that we have, documents, We have it on our website. It's just that people don't take time to read and to go through the documents and to understand documents. But if they have any questions, they could phone Roger and ask him questions. And we've already gone to some of the homes to explain, the documents. So that's how much power our reserve has, the people on voting. And then I talked about this last night. There was a memo that went out on our administration. It was a memo to the Blood Tribe employees telling them who to vote for. If they didn't vote for those people, they were going to lose their jobs. But we always hear what's going on with the administration, with tribal government. And they are scared. They are scared to speak out because a lot of people are scared to lose their jobs. But they have to start voicing and quit sitting back, because all of this, what's happening, is for the future generations.
But you say you're amazingly knowledgeable people. I enjoy listening, and thank you for sharing with us. And I think you're really qualified to answer this question. Is this a pivotal point for the Blood Nation?
It is, it has to be. It's a must. The people have got to open their eyes and understand, or all of the Blood Tribe will be here in Lethbridge.
And for the future, there won't be any options.
No. And then most people do not know this. Our north end, our irrigation on our Blood Tribe, we had about 4 people going to park on there. And we even had one rancher that owned horses at the north end. They were impounding the horses, and people that were parking there, they were telling them, you guys have to move. It's private property now. When did we sell that land? We didn't have a vote on it. It's still part of the Blood Tribe. Like Roger said, everybody is entitled to the Blood Tribe, every man, woman, and child. We all own it. And what gives our government, our Blood Tribe chief and council, to give up that land? We did not vote on it. See, they're taking a lot of rights away from us, and they're dictating to us. You can't do this, you can't do that.
So it sounds like, and this is a dangerous statement for me to say, but it sounds like the basis of British law, which Canada law is based on, is being used from the inside to destroy your culture and history.
Yeah.
So not just from the outside that we hear about on reconciliation, but by people in the inside for their own benefit.
There's a news thing. I think the Alberta government came and they gave the Blood Tribe $5 million for the opiate crisis. And then the health minister came on. I remember, you could look it up in the news. He talked about to help our drug overdose. They were going to help them with housing. They were going to help them with their addictions and education. I do not see that. Instead, they were kicking everybody out of the house because one person in the house was using the drugs. So they got rid of the whole family, and that's when Child Protection Services came in. If they got kicked out, they have no more home, and that's when the kids were being taken and put in the system. So how was that helping our people?
Yes. Could I add something to that? Right now, where I work here in town at IRC, there's a Millennia Scoop that's coming up, an application for the kids that were taken from their, by the Children's Services. And I do believe the application is for $20,000 to $40,000 just on the application. But at the same time, I spoke with the 17 kids that came in. These kids are the ones that Sharon and I were in Walmart one time, and this lady comes by, this Mennonite comes by with 6 kids, right?
Yeah.
They were all 6 Native kids that were dressed in Mennonite clothes. No disrespect to the Mennonites, I think, thank you for taking the kids, but you could see the cross-cultural clash was there. As they walked by, 2 of those kids were very rambunctious. They just kind of snuck underneath their clothes. They double dapped into us. And underneath those clothes, they were blowing kisses at us. And we were blowing kisses at them. But what did the mother do? She comes in, just there to give us a snarled look, and she grabbed this kid's away by the arm. And then, but what's happening is to me, that is a new slavery. You could get all these kids together, 6, 7 kids you get all their monies for a year, and that will cover their mortgages, that will cover their their labor, that will cover everything that they require. When they're 19, they're kicked out. These kids are now on the streets now, and then they're coming over to speaking about the millennial school, and they're all addicted to drugs, to the carfentanil. But at the same time, they informed me, they said, Roger, we turned 18, went down to the van office to get our trust monies. Our trust money is down there. We had no more money. Their monies were stolen. So I tried to get a lawyer for them. But at the same time, they're 19, but again, that's lawyer stipulations you have to follow. They have to go see them. So I tried to get a lawyer here for them. But those poor kids are so stuck on the streets that the comprehension is kind of, it's just way off now. So that is what we're talking about.
It's just so sad how we're being treated. Like even our kids that have been in the system, all their distributions, whatever they get, and they put them in trusts. And for somebody to go and take that money from these kids that were already in the system, and you never know what they went through, and let alone for our tribe to do that.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step? What can you do? Because I hear all this and it's upsetting, but it's also motivating, right? I mean, you're here, and what can you do? There's an election coming up. You haven't been doing much campaigning tonight. You've just been sharing a lot of the history and facts with us.
Mm-hmm.
But can the election make a big difference?
Yes, I believe so. It can, but at the same time, it's very hard because it's a CEO or the CO of the elections. They're following that Customs Bylaw Elections Act. That gives them sole discretion. And then at the same time, what's happening is that even the government can't come in to get involved. Because we wrote a letter to Andrew Luth, the government guy, and they told us that the complaints were to Andrew Luth was, on behalf of the Sovereign Blood Tribe people, we are seeking an audience with the Blood Tribe Chief and Council on March 16th. In the council chambers was Roger Prairie Chicken, Eugene Fox, and Blood Tribe elders to let the people know why they are pushing the Blood Indian Nation to relinquish treaty rights. So, and then I'll just read the questions. That any potential final agreement requires a referendum by members of the Blood Tribe to be ratified and revoked by the sovereign Blood Indian Nations members' existence. A letter of guarantee to have a standalone vote on the Blood Tribe Nations treaty rights on the agreement of recognition tables for eligible voters, with no other trust agreements are placed under the vote without the people's knowledge. For example, final agreement and trust agreements are separate matters. That's what Charlie talked about.
Stacking.
Yeah. And at the same time, no voting tabulators to be used, and must be done manually with outside bonded election officers, independent of other treaties, 7 First Nation bands, Sikshikai Nation, Piikani Nation, independent of the tribe chief and council, lawyers, advisors, and kind of government's agreement. And the last one is the reasons chief and council relinquishing the Sikshikai Declaration of Elders of the Blood Tribe. they no longer listen to the elders for, that's a center. And then it's like a grandfather, go to your grandfather and then they'll tell you, I'm gonna do this. No, you think about it.
Yeah.
So that's what the elders are, they're advisors. So in the end, all we're saying is that when we got this letter back, and then at the same time, so basically the leaderships were sworn to protect the sovereign Treaty 7 rights, uphold due diligence to protecting our lands, water, and inherent rights for those yet unborn. That's what the elders say. But this particular now sold us up. So I'll tell Shirley.
Okay, Roger, you need to, this was sent to Roger, and then Alan, you come back here and you could move over this way. And that's about the election, about the machine and the electoral officer.
The white feather.
Yeah.
No, this is the Indigenous Capital Canada Corporation's Roy Fox and John Jurius. This is the partnership of all kind of agreements, all the numbered companies I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So this could be available for anybody that wants this information. We could send it to you, and then I'll further go into the corporation structure.
Roger, no, this is very important that the people hear it, and it's, where is it? Right there.
Okay.
This part is about the electoral officer that's running the reserve.
Okay, I know what
He's
you're
in
saying.
conflict.
So basically, again, the 2024 Black Tribe Elections Chief Electoral Officer, CEO Lance Tailfeathers, is in conflict by the dates are basically August 19, 2020, amendments to the Kainai Black Tribe elections regulations. Why is he in conflict? He's employed with Roy Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have investments in corporations that they get dividend payments. Yeah, I'm trying to read this here, Shirley. And then it won't go side. There we go. So basically, again, let's go a little further up.
You're like me, big hands, little phone.
Yeah, exactly. So at the same time, March the 5th, 1997, November 19th, Conner Reasons of Incorporated access number 207306457. Directors authorized Representative Chief Roy Fox present the voting of 100%. Not the people. This Roy Fox is 100% of the voters team. And then at the same time, the councilors Martin Heavyhead, Winston Day Chief, and Pinnacle and Tailfeathers, those are all the partners on that 100%. Doesn't say the people.
Mm.
So at the same time, the 971445 Alberta Limited Blood Oil and Gas Limited Partnership, the directors authorized Representative Roy Fox 100% of the voting rights and Doug Singer. And that's what I have here on the corporation chart on the amalgamation. This is never one reporting on. So at the same time,
So all of these corporations.
yeah, then they have Native American Resource Partners LLP NARP. They established as a company on a Quantum Energy Partnership LLC, Houston, Texas. Now the national amalgamation now. Okay, Kainai Energy Corp. 159295, private exploration of production company, Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
Legal entity names are Kainai Resources Inc. and Alberta Limited 971445 Black Tribe.
Clearly, that's going to help the Blackfoot people in Dallas, Texas. And
Exactly. Kainai Energy Corp. Alberta Limited 1592955 formed through partnership between KRI and Native American Resources and NARP, and then the other one is NARP Energy LLP. So these are all basically the amalgamation they have done where they have overridden the reserve and they've stolen the identities of the First Nations of that people. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I'll go one more, this one here on the amalgamated holdings. This is the important one here, and I have that here. So I'll go into this one. I have that documentation, Shirley, that one there. And at the same time, so within the corporation structure that we have, as I showed you guys from the beginning of that number and the beginning of the oil, NARC, and the oil and the amalgamation of different companies with Buck Tribe, Roy Fox, and Doug Singer, what's his name again, John Jurius, and Robertson. So it just shows you these 38 corporations are wholly owned corporations run by 38 families. And at the same time, then you go into the you go into what Charlotte has given me is the what you call it, how they amalgamated on the acres claim and all that. So, but now we'll go to the amalgamations here. That document, that is a legal document that was sent, that we had was sent to me, Sharon looking at, on October 17, 2015. How they do it is this. October 17, 2015, amalgamated as one company under the name NARC Blood Tribe Project. That's where they partnered up in the corporation. And this number is connected, holding them to BC Corp. And
It's interesting how Blood Tribe is in
Yeah.
their name, but they're actually private.
Exactly. So anyway, so 1052366. So if you take a look at, we'll look at Whitefish Lake. How they do it is they have a Whitefish Lake Energy Funding Corp. It's a corporation number. NARC, Whitefish Lake Energy Project Corp. NARC, Whitefish Lake Energy Holdings Corp. NARC, Whitefish Lake Energy GP Corp. And that all is on the bottom, NARC Blood Tribe Holdings Limited.
So to summarize where we're at here, then you and Charlene have done the research. You know where the problem areas lie. You know how the abuses that have been done. You're 100% on that. If you're chief, you're going to address these.
Well, what I'm going to do is this. Like I said, the people who have to understand, see things over and beyond the reality of what's happening to us, because we're so conditioned to the, living in this poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, and having money dangled in front of us to say yes. But the end result, let me finish what I'm doing here, is on these amalgamations, what they're doing is simply, it's called predatory lending in Indian country. There's a hearing right now in the States of what they're doing. So again, there's the youths, they John P. Jurius was in there, but they got him out. But now he's here. So that predatory lending is amalgamated. These guys are a big corporation and connected to the Texas company and oil fields.
Roger, can you read this document? The Victoria officer is in conflict.
Okay, all right, then you found it, okay.
That's the one I wanted you to read.
Okay, under the amendment to the kind of blood tribe elections regulations, 1995, section 3.00203, not to be an employee of the blood tribe administrations or the Department of Indian Affairs and Northern Development or any successor department of the government in Canada. Lance is in conflict because he's an employee, for Roy Fox. And he's also a partner in the corporation.
And the rules say, of course, you can't be an employee to be involved with the election.
Exactly.
Okay, Roger, now there it lists what he was all involved with.
Yeah.
Lance
Yeah.
on there.
Okay. Let me see. Well, then, considered federal board commissioners or other tribunals under the act of the parliament or under the order of made pursuant to prerogative of the crown. Okay, conflict of interests are here. Blood Tribe Band Council assigned Mr. Tailfeathers as election CEO. Mr. Tailfeather is employed with the Blood Tribe Blood Band, Kainawa Resources Incorporated Operations and Community Communications. That's who it is with. The Kainawa Resources Incorporated General Manager. That's who he is. And then at the same time, Blood Tribe Lands Committee Chairman, 2016 to 2020. Blood Band Counselor from 2012 to 2020. Blood Tribe Administration, BTA, Tribal Government, and Department of Tribal Government Department, April 09 and 2012. So those are reasons why this is the
Any one of them is a
any one of
conflict.
them, he's
Not all 8 of them.
and he's running this elections. The polls are tonight. The electronic votes. They're probably packing those machines of votes for tonight.
Crazy.
Now, we went to legal, but the legal, I believe, all swear their due diligence to the government of Canada. If they go too much against them, they will lose their reward. So we cannot find a lawyer that will take this case up, because Trudeau wants to get rid of the Indian problem. But the Indian problem will always be here. Look at the immigration doors that now come in. Here in Lethbridge, look at them. They're here in town, the back alleys, the homeless. People, families living in 5, 6 families in one house. You know, it's a problem. You know, where do you get the resources, money to develop? But for us guys, all I'm saying is this: if elected, I want to revisit the customs elections bylaw. I want to get legal advice on that, because that comes from the Elections Act Canada. Customs bylaw, as they said, it makes us custom bylaw, but it's still connected to the Indian Act. It's still Indian Act, process. So that violates our constitutional rights. And then I also want to visit the 38 corporations that Eugene Trayton looked at. I would like to have a forensic done on all the 38 corporations. People are complaining about distributions, monies. These guys are popular, just like Bob Bartlett on the acres claim. How could a person, a non-native, own 20% rights on Indian land? And at the same time, now we have the lawyers. I couldn't find 36, 37, 38 in the corporation lawyers. Just like I said, I honestly believe those are the documentations that allows a provincial lawyer to come onto the Federal Reserve. That's where the scrupulation process begins. And as for Lance Tailfeathers, if this thing could go out before the vote, the story is that she is in conflict.
So we'll get this out tonight. It's out
Yes.
now. It's actually going out live. How can people get a hold of you to talk to you? Do you have an email address?
403-795-7282 is my cell number. And at the same time, my email address is prairiecroger@gmail.com. Also, we have an advocacy page. That's a Blood Tribe advocacy page. If people could visit that, that's where I have all my information on there.
Perfect.
My feeling on this is good luck with the election. I really hope that works out, because it wouldn't be a solution, but it would be a start of a solution. It would be an open crack in something that's pretty locked down from what you told us. But this needs to go forward past this. Whatever happens in the election, this can't be dropped. Because as you said, you're talking about the future of children that aren't yet born. And if we have any responsibility, it's to the generations that haven't yet come. And I really admire your philosophical and the fact that you're living the idea that it is a shared responsibility and ownership. And that's something we can all learn from. So thank you very much.
Yep, thank you, Roger. Thank you, Charlene. Very much appreciate it. If you vote for Roger, you get Charlene. It's a 2-for-1. That's a good deal here. So thank you very much. You've got Roger's contact info. If you are a Blackfoot person, vote for him. Like he said.
One comment?
Yes, please do.
Nag-iisip okay, the elders makinig sa catch. Ika kimatuwa at sumuskato. Aksats to catch, which is to be better person. Pray for the young ones that can only see the value of money for their pocket, that they could see the future that what Sharon says about the children. And that philosophical saying that the grandfather was always saying, it's not just a saying. They say, as long as the grass grows, means it's the children. And as long as the river flows, it's not the rivers, Belly River, Old Man River. Like we've been here since time around. But when the woman gives birth and their water breaks, that's the river. That's a part of the treaty that we have. And it was a peace pipe treaty. We never held it. Our treaty simply will share with you, but we stand this side, they stand this side, we'll meet in the middle. That's what we say in our treaty. I'm in.
Thank you much, and vote.
Vote. It's really important.